This is the Amp Hour Podcast, released August 24th, 2020. Episode 506. Hipster Fodder.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Campbell of Contextual Electronics.
Can't remember this time we were this early.
Yeah, I know. We're recording like a week early. For a very good reason, though. I'm going to be gone for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, you're out of here. Go and walkabout.
Go and walkabout. I'm also, getting married, and this is actually my honeymoon. So,
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. Well, Dave, you have a guest you'll have, and I think I have one.
Hopefully,
in the can as well. So we should continue shows, but there is a possible surface interruption. If so, well, it's for good reason.
I think we'll be good. We can handle it.
Yeah, I think so too. So what's going on over there in Aussie land?
I'm still in the process of moving, usual crap.
Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race, especially when there is no race.
Well, this brings up an interesting point with all the, chaos and mayhem. He's chaos, I'm mayhem. You don't get it, do you?
No, sorry.
Never watched Lethal Weapon.
Oh, no.
No, you've never watched Lethal Weapon. Oh, well, there you go. Anyway, so
okay.
it's an interesting decision because it's an interesting time because of all the chaos and mayhem going around and all the massive loss of business and everything. I've started to notice here in my local business park, like I've been here for 10 years now, right? So that's a long time to get to see trends of office space, right? Because mine's your typical business office park. It's not an industrial type office park. It's more like all just corporate office tower.
Lawyers and startups.
Yeah, lawyers and real estate agents and whatever, insurance brokers and whatnot. Yeah. All that sort of jazz. And lowly old me. So anyway. Well, we do have ResMed here, ResMed. So we do manufacturing here. ResMed is a huge Aussie. They do sleep apnea devices.
Like CPAP.
They're one of the world. Yeah, CPAP stuff. They're one of the world leaders in that sort of thing, and they're in this business park.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but apart from that, it's pretty much. That's where a lot of my former colleagues went. They call it the ResMed Retirement Village because it's one of those places you go to. You have a job for life. You have one of these, big, huge monolith of a company.
I always wondered how I would fare in one of those places. Like if I would get bored.
Yeah, but you've worked in Keithley. You've worked in Samsung. Yeah,
that's true. It was kind of like Samsung was like a higher pitch kind of, but Keithley was kind of not super fast paced. Yeah, there was like long development cycles and 30-year veterans there, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, ResMed Retirement Village. Anyway,
that's good.
What was I getting at? Yes, so I've been here long enough.
10-year cycle. 10-year
yeah, so
cycle.
I've been long enough here to see trends and things like that. So I'm now seeing record numbers of office vacancies and for sale signs. Prices aren't dropping. If you want to buy a place, prices don't seem to have dropped. I've mentioned before that like in the last 4 years since they put in the train line here, like prices just like doubled or went up, 2.5, and 250, 300%, something like that. Prices just went crazy and they don't seem to be coming down yet, but there's lots of vacancies. So, and this comes about because I talked about this privately with my supporters, right, on the forum and on Patreon as well. And I asked for a poll because I'm moving out of here, right? My lease is up end of October, right? So I've got to be out of here. I don't want to renew it for another year or 2 years or whatever because it's pricey, right? It's like, it's like $46,000 a year, right, to be here, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of coin. Right,
that is a lot of coin, yeah.
But that was offset by the fact that I was renting out my old lab, right? So I was getting income from that. But they moved it, right? So it didn't seem like that big of a burden. It sounds like a lot, and it is, right?
It is a lot. Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
but business expense, and it feels like it's
it's I've got a window and stuff, so it's like anyway. So, but that was when I had David working for me full time, and I've also got a part-time logistics person as well, handles the packing and shipping. So we had like 2.5 people in here. So 100 square meters that I've got at the moment sounds like it's nice and comfortable. And now that I don't have a full-time employee anymore, it's pretty much just me here. I realize that this 100 square meters I'm paying good money for, is like, it's pretty much wasted, especially when I cleaned up stuff and I go, wow, I do actually have a lot of space.
You see the floor, you can see how much floor space you have, right?
Exactly. And I go, this is just, look, and my lease was I've been here for 2 years. So my lease was coming up. And I have an extension in the lease where I can, they can't throw me out. I can choose to extend it. But I've got to make that choice. So I've got to sign up for another longer term lease. So I've got to make that decision now. Or I had to make that decision a while back, because you've got to give them 3 months notice, etc. So I decided, no, I'll leave and I'll figure out what else to do. Either go back to my old lab or rent a slightly smaller space, so, and I was going to move back to my old lab, but I just found like a really nice space, which I had my eye on for the last decade. It's become available. It's available. It's one of, but there's vacancies everywhere. There's like 5 in this building. There's 5 in my old lab building. There's 4 in this other building that I'm talking about now. And it's my old one where I did my editing in, which you've been to, with the view of the mountains.
Yeah.
That was that's got like 7 vacancies or something. So there's no shortage of places available. So anyway, I can pick and choose, although finding a good one is hard, one that's suitable, of course. But anyway, I found a real nice one. It's got like floor to ceiling windows, and it's got like lots of trees outside, and you can see, anyway, just I
like to watch the squirrels.
I like to watch the squirrels. Yeah. It reminds me of the squirrel on The Wire from Ferris Bueller.
Oh yeah.
Where he opens the windows and the squirrel runs across, and that was a fake squirrel on a line, because they had a real squirrel, but they couldn't prompt it to do the thing, so they had to pull it and get a fake one and just pull it across on a string.
Oh man.
Anyway, sorry, they just popped into my head. Yeah, so, and it's a reasonable price. It's 70 square meters, so it's sort of like halfway between my old 50 square meter lab and this one at 100. So it's sort of, nice. And an extra 20 square meters goes a long way. And I thought, look, should I go sign up for another long-term lease and hire that, rent that place, and then try and rent out my old one? But the problem is, as I said, so many vacancies.
Right, trying to get anyone to rent out your old one would be tough.
Rent out especially when it's windowless. And there's new buildings in this park, which I'm not kidding, like there's a new building in this park which has a commercial office building, but it also does restaurants and residential and stuff. It's got a putting green on the top. It's got a huge infinity pool, which overlooks the mountains. It's got a gym. It's got an outdoor cinema. This is all on the roof. Like, it's kind of... Anyway, not on the roof. It's kind of
sounds like a startup or something. You need to.
It's one of those things. You get the concierge service in the foyer, and it's all sort of wanky, and so you're trying to compete against all these ones that at least have a window,
right? Yeah.
So I suspect that I'm not going to be able to rent that out. So anyway, Mrs. EEV blog, she says no, just move back to the old one. And
back to the dungeon, David.
Yep. And we'll just bide our time, hoard the cash, and save the money. And if we see one pop up for sale at a bargain basement price, then we might actually upgrade. We might buy a bigger one with a window, and anyway, and sell the old one. So that's the plan. So that's there's a lot of big decisions to be made there. Do you spend the extra coin and get something that you like, get something that makes you feel good, or do you, save the cash in these hard times? And it was, I took a poll and it was split about 50-50 down the middle. Half the people said nope. you know,
I mean, you wouldn't
bunker
actually
down,
make a
hold the cash.
decision based on.
No, I wouldn't, but it's always fun to do. You know, I just like, yeah, well, we all know that the real decision lies with Mrs. EEV vlog, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. So yeah, so I think I'll just move back to the old place. I don't want to sign up for a new. And the thing is, I own it, right?
Mm.
Every time I walk in there, I go like, I effing own this. Like,
yeah, man.
You know, no one can do jack, right? I can do anything I damn well like.
Well, you still have neighbors, so you know.
Well, yeah, I still have neighbors, you know. So
yeah, you gotta do that.
Yeah. But I kind of feel, you know, renting the place, I've rented 2 different lab/offices now, and it's like, it just doesn't feel the same, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like, oh, you can't touch the walls, you can't, you know, you got to be careful, you spill something on the carpet, you know, because you'll just have to pay to replace it instead of
you can't have a huge party and trash the place either.
Yep, exactly.
It's tough.
Rockstar style. Yeah.
Well, speaking of signing up for things again, I am actually I forgot to mention this before the show, but I have once again signed up for things. I have signed up for tutoring again. This is a new topic and new tutors. So I have signed up for that. Basically, I tried something new based on a friend's suggestion, where basically I just posted on Upwork, and I like posted a job on Upwork to basically show me how to do things.
Yep.
And that's what I'm doing now. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I ended up hiring some two guys out of India to show me some stuff with free RTOS, and it's been pretty good so far. So
excellent. So did you get flooded with responses, or was it?
Yeah, have you been on Upwork ever before?
No, I've never. No, I might have taken a look at it, but I've never.
Yeah,
really
it's interesting.
Used it.
So like, I've talked to some people about like kind of getting started on there, like, you know, get some early work, and you know, you can't charge a huge amount, but some people, I mean, some people are charging upwards of like $200 an hour on there.
Wow,
and it's interesting is like it really runs the gamut from like $10 an hour. You know, like if you have electronic, I was just looking at the electronic space, but like some people are charging $10 an hour and usually are in, you know, lower cost of living areas. Some people are charging $200 an hour, and it's like it is all over the map.
You're right. Yeah.
And so it's interesting because then you get to see. So the first thing that strikes me about it is you go on there and you're like, wow, there's just a lot of talented people out here, just in general, because everybody they all post their portfolio, they all post their experience and things like that. And, you know, there's always a little bit of bluster.
Okay, so you can like download their portfolio of stuff. Can you? Is it like a PDF or something? What are you?
Some of them have like links to like Google Drive, and some of them just have photos, and some of them have like testimonials. But, you know, in general, it's kind of all over the map, and you can kind of find people in different spaces. And so, yeah, seeing like people doing, you know, some people I was mostly looking for firmware as well, so I think it was very specific to that, but some of the people that do firmware also did circuit boards, so you know, I'd see that in their profile. But yeah, and like all over the place. So I had like people in let's see, I had one in Egypt, 2 or 3 from India, one from Pakistan, one from Poland, one from Bosnia.
I'm seeing a trend here, Chris.
What's that?
Well, this is what I've heard, is that this is a race to the bottom. It's pretty much,
totally, you know, any marketplace system is
your lower socioeconomic.
Sure. Yeah, not necessarily quality, but definitely, yeah, I think cost of living areas are, but I think the other thing too is that, yeah, you wouldn't get on there. I mean, like if you're trying to charge, if you're like what it really comes down to is marketing, I think, is like, because if you're basically, you know, you're trying to build a brand and you offer these services, you basically are saying that I charge a premium, but I'm worth it because of this, this, and this. And you don't go on a market system where you have all these comparisons against you, right?
Yeah.
So I don't post any work of mine on there.
But you're saying there are premium people on there like that who actually charge a premium price. But in general, it's a race to the bottom. Is that right?
I think, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think really you could. I think I was looking for that because I was looking for like affordable tutoring, because I'm looking for stuff that's like at the beginning of the process, right? So it could have just been that I was looking for, you know, simple enough stuff that people
you didn't need a premium 30-year guru in RTOS.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Right. If you had like if you were like, hey, I need to do like you know, a 20 gigahertz design. I mean, first off, you might not find anyone on Upwork, but you might find someone that's, you know, charging $250 an hour or something like that. So it really is, you know, dependent on what you need to do, I think, as well.
Right. Oh, no, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, so what are the main platforms for this? Are there other platforms that do the same thing? I mean, there's,
That's a good question.
Fiverr and stuff like that. Is that the same thing?
So Fiverr is, when I think about Fiverr, it's more like a preset. It's like a prefix menu, like prefix menu,
Pre-canned thing. It's like, I
exactly,
will design your logo for $20, kind of
exactly,
thing.
yeah. And
Right.
and then it's basically because it's like a bid proposal. You try and get as much out of it as you can, but you have pretty low expectations. Really, if you really want to have lots of
low expectations on Fiverr.
Well, I mean, you won't have like even you won't have that many
right
revisions.
in the name. Like it's right in the name.
Right.
Okay. It's $5,
And so I've used Fiverr before, and I was pretty underwhelmed, because it's just.
Right.
So I was doing I tried to get like an animation for like a stream, I thought that was pretty straight ahead. That's
of course, that's pretty straightforward to get.
Yeah. And I tried lowballing, and it just, and I even did then what they really do is then they do upgrades on Fiverr. So you might go and say, I want a logo, but actually I want 3 logos to choose from.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
And it costs and then that's another $20 and whatever.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, it's basically there's just people trying to churn through the low end work, and then trying to upsell on other stuff. And then on Fiverr too, it's like, do you want to leave a tip for your person, the person that did this work for you? It's like, I did not expect that. So
right, okay, they hit you that at the end, do they?
Yeah, and I think, anyways, I would rather just hire someone hourly. But the hard thing is always the reason that you really want to hire someone is because they're going to get it done right the first time, and that you have confidence that it's competent work, and it's almost just impossible to do that from a market system, right? You can't possibly prove yourself well enough on a market system. Whereas if someone recommends a consultant to me to do some work for me, I'm like, oh well, they've done this specific thing. They've done this usually
for Joe Blogs. So
yeah, exactly. For a friend. Well, say you suggested someone to me. It's like, oh, they've done this work for Dave. He vouches for them. He's seen their work. He's worked with them. He knows that they're easy to work with and that they're efficient, all these other things. And it's just there's that human element that's really, really hard, I think, to replicate on a marketplace system.
Mm-hmm.
That all said, I've been giving it a shot. I mean, someone's got to give a shot at some point. So the guys that I'm giving a shot to have been very good so far.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, yeah. We'll
see. That's something that I want to get into as well. Like I want to, hire people to do similar kind of things, and and possibly even teach me to do stuff as well. So I might be looking for similar things, and hence why I think it's better to hoard the cash, so that I have money in the business to do this sort of thing, so I can spend money on services like this.
Yeah, I think the thing that was most exciting, I really started to think about it okay, so you can effectively learn anything. And this has been really has come to the forefront for my style specifically. So I've been looking at this FreeRTOS code, and these 2 guys that are helping me out, basically them just walking through examples with me for something.
Hang on,
it just
why
unlocks
2 guys are you?
Oh,
sorry. Wait, why is there 2? Are you hedging your bets? That one's
totally. Yeah.
If one sucks, okay, right.
Yeah, I actually had 3, and the first one. Actually, one already fell off because they said they were an individual, but they're actually there was a project manager, and it was a group of 4, and it's I just want to deal with the individual that I'm talking to.
Right, yeah, of course. No, you don't want to. They're obviously some service farm or something. There's
exactly. Well, I mean,
for want of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a professional group would be the nice way to say it, right?
Okay.
And it's and it was I was talking to the project manager, and he's like, yeah, we have 2 hardware guys, or sorry, 1 hardware person, 2 firmware people, and an Apple and an Android app developer. And from that perspective, I actually really get it. Can you imagine going to a group like that and being and not having any experience in hardware or anything, and just being
yes, and then they've got somebody to do the job. But you'll go into it's a different thing to what you want. You just want to deal with an individual. You want all the money to go to the individual.
That's right.
And you want to deal with the individual. You just don't want any fluff.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, and I want direct experience. That's the other thing too. I want a direct experience in FreeRTOS on NRF52. Right. That's what I was specifically looking for, and that's what I ended up getting. Which is,
and you found someone. That's pretty specific, right?
I mean, no, I found people that were multiple years of experience just doing that. Based on, and some of the jobs are listed on their profile as having hey, this guy had done this job for me using FreeRTOS on an NRF52. So that, from that perspective, that is the benefit of a marketplace system, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. See, I would have guessed if you said to me, I'm going to go to WeWork and I'm going to find someone who does free RTOS and, on this chip. And I go, nah, the odds of finding that are zip.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty popular, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right.
All right.
It is very specific.
Yep.
But yeah, so like
That's
I started like
incredible.
thinking about it, like, man, like think of all the things you could learn, especially because them just kind of like working me through this stuff. And I think I have to have a very specific expectation on like, how they teach. But in
Yeah.
terms of like me
Yeah.
being able to just ask questions, like it's almost like having like a really intelligent Google, right? But it's just that person with their experience.
Yes.
Just hiring a piano teacher anyways, right? Like most of the time
Mm.
when I had a piano teacher, I've talked about this when I hired firmware people last time. It worked out really well, I think, too, because it was like
Yep.
I ran into a problem and I want to like build up my questions over the week and then talk to them on my weekly sessions and like just get all the questions out.
You're
And
right.
sometimes that question list goes away because I'm just, I
Mm.
find the answer some other way or whatever. But having that as a backstop, it like was really good for my learning style.
The thing here is, though, is that just because somebody is brilliant at doing a job does not mean they can teach it, even
That
if
is
they
correct.
think
Yep.
they can, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Totally.
I can teach you this. Look, oh, no worries,
Yep.
I'll teach you this in 10 minutes. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, they're just shit at teaching. They just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a specific skill, there's nothing wrong like with somebody who can't teach. That's fine. You could
Yeah.
be the most brilliant person in the world, right? But you
Yeah.
can't teach. You could be Einstein, but if you're not a good teacher,
Yeah.
then it doesn't automatically translate.
Yeah, I think that's on the learner. And I think I have a little advantage in this way because I've read a lot of books about education theory and like, like I teach others. And I think that like I have
Mhm.
very specific stuff where I want to do it. Like, yeah, if someone was just like, yeah, I'm just going to talk at you for an hour, that's not going to help me. Me,
No,
me
no, no.
specifically, my learning style. But
Yep.
because I know my learning style, because I know like I need to have hands-on examples. No one's surprised by this. I need to have hands-on examples. I need to
Yep.
be able to ask directed questions after the fact. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's just
You've almost got to if you can't like I'd say it's reasonably rare to find somebody a teacher who can actually read sort of understand naturally what you want. They can get a gist for what you want and what your
yeah, yeah,
how it's as they go along
yeah, and adapt
how
to
to
it and things like that.
adapt and tailor it to
Yeah,
your
totally.
specific circumstance. I think that's particularly rare. So it probably falls upon the student to actually have that skill to try and extract it out of
Yeah,
them rather than you can't just assume that they're going to be good at giving you what you want. You've got to
yes, that's
extract it
great.
out. So
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think, and the other thing too is like breaking down. Like when you really get into like skills and things like that too, like breaking things down into like component parts. That's also very difficult.
mhm.
And again, like that's what the best teachers do. They recognize like, oh, Chris is always having problems with this type of C code, and like I should really go and like assign him some drills around that so that he can, and then like structuring drills. And that's really like the
Right.
best parts of like educational theory. I think not the best parts, but like that is a key element. And I think that's the piece where a lot of people would just be like, oh, well, you suck at this thing, you should not suck at this anymore. Okay.
And it can work both ways. It can work because it can work because the teacher sucks, or it can be work
Hmm.
because the student sucks at
Yeah.
it's sort of or both.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't assume if you're thinking about doing this sort of stuff that you're going to have a positive result like Chris has. So
Well, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think it's worth trying.
yeah, oh no, it's certainly worth trying, but don't
Yeah.
be surprised if somebody doesn't give you exactly what you want.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's
So
been interesting about this experience specifically is that like both the first time I did this, however many months ago that was, and I guess probably was like almost a year ago now, and then this time was even better because the first time I did, I put out a call like, hey, I think I want to get some tutoring help, and like all these people were very very nice, and they said, oh, I want to, you don't have to pay for it, I'll just show you some things, and I want a very specific skin in the game paid contract kind of
yep,
thing. I want it to be
yeah,
like a
of
piano
course,
lesson. I show up, we go through things, I leave, I give you money when I leave. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be like very transactional,
yep.
and it has to be like very regular, I think, as well. That again, just for my style. And I think being able to like there's been no marketplace for this sort of thing, and it's basically I'm just kind
Mhm.
of bending the marketplace really, which is for work. I get that. Like people, want full-time work, and I get that, but it's basically bending that market towards a more learning bent kind of thing, and I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah. But I'm curious for you, Dave. What are you looking to learn?
Well, we'll get onto that in a minute.
Okay.
I just want to extend on that point there. I've had maintaining my forum, for example. I've got I've got a Penguin nerd who maintains my websites and my servers and my forum and everything else for me. And he was doing that just because he's a fan and he's a user of the forum, right? He's been doing that for Nix, right? Yeah. And I thought, I eventually thought, nah, look, I should be paying him to do this, right? Because that's actually his professional job. He's actually doing, he's maintaining servers and things like that. So I contacted him a couple of months back and I said, hey, look, I really should be, I'd feel better if I was paying you for this, you know? So it's more, as a similar sort of situation. You said, they had people offer to, help you out for free. It's like, thanks, but you wanted it more sort of.
I think you want to lever to pull. You want a knob to turn. Like you want to be able to have something where if you have no monetary exchange, you have no power in the transaction, right?
Yes, exactly. And I felt guilty.
Right. Well, there's that.
Yeah. The forum falls over at midnight. I feel guilty. Contact him and say, hey, the forum's fallen over. Right, it's like. So, So I ended up, and he said, no, look, I'm happy. Are you happy to still do it, for free and stuff like that? And said, no, look, I really want to pay you,
Yeah. Good,
so, yep. So I'm paying someone.
I think that kind of like transactional thing too. I think it's changed my outlook on. I think it's also because like I'm getting paid by the hour now too, and like I specifically because of that. So
yeah, exactly, changes things.
Yeah,
this contracting gig, huh?
Yeah. So, okay, Dave, come on. What are you going to learn? I want to know.
Well, there's all sorts of things. I want to learn CAD. I want to learn mechanical CAD.
Oh, mechanical, nice.
Mechanical CAD. That's one of the things I want.
I think that's actually a really good one to start with too, because there's a very clear difference, right? In that case, and you could say the same thing for my stuff too. There are tons of tutorials out there, right? And you could go and follow those tutorials. However. That's a very different experience, I think. Like people would say, well, why wouldn't you just go use the tutorial? But that's a different experience, I think.
I can imagine it is. Yeah. Rather than sitting on a Skype call, sharing a desktop with someone, talking in real time and going, oh, why did you go? Oh, is this option up here? Oh, can you do it this way? And they'll go, no, and they'll explain why. And it's like, that's just like, you can't beat that instant feedback.
Right, and there's literally things that in there that you could not Google for if you tried your entire life. You could spend every waking second trying to figure out how to Google for like, why does a fillet need to be this like this minimum radius or something silly like that, right?
Right.
But you can just literally ask in that case. Yeah,
and you can have the response back in seconds.
Yep.
It's just there's no beating that. So it's well worth paying for.
What else? Come on.
What?
Okay. I wish I could learn. So I've been trying to figure this out. I wish I could get better. Maybe not. I don't need it. Maybe I don't need a tutor. I'd really like to tutor, but like I want to get better at applying solder paste. And I've thought actually I'd really like a low cost solder paste application machine using a standard stencil.
I posted on my forum a couple of months back.
Did you really?
Does anyone know about like a lowish cost? Automated, the
squeegee robot.
The thing with the pedal and the pump, right? It's got a pedal on the floor. So, one of those, and it comes up and it dispenses and it gives you a set amount of solder paste each time, or you can dial in how much solder paste you want. And it'll.
Okay, so you're saying syringe method. You're saying like that.
Yes. Oh, okay. What one were you talking?
I was talking about squeegeeing very. Like how like when you send it off to like a full panel off to an assembly house. They have the machine that squeegees like robotically.
The squeegee. I've got videos of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like we'll link that into. It's super conformal. Not conformal. It's super
consistent.
Like level. Yeah, consistent. That's it. And
yes.
I suck at that.
But you can't adjust. The only way you can adjust that is to literally adjust the thickness of the stencil and or the aperture opening, right?
This is not those problems though. The problem is that it's the fixturing. That's the problem. Like the fixturing.
What the fixturing? Well, where you tape it down.
I know. I suck at that apparently. So this is. I think part of the problem is, and maybe the part of the problem is, I continue to order. I keep getting scared of frameless stencils because I've sliced my fingers so badly so many times on the stainless. So I started just ordering the frame stencils. Then there's a at MHub.
But they're harder to use because they've got frames on them, and it's like you've got to no, it's the frame. The frameless ones are easier because all you do, I've shown a video showing this. You just get some blank PCB scraps, which forms an L-shaped thing, and you wedge your board in there, so it's the same thickness. And then you wedge your board in, you tape it all down, and then you tape your stencil on top because then it's all, because you don't want it going over the edge, stencil going over the edges of the board because then it bows up, right? So you want it all flat, and then you tape it all down, and then you swipe it across with your little plastic squidgy credit card or your little,
Yeah, I know. I want the frames to be better. I want the framed ones to be better. I guess maybe that's the real problem is that I keep getting the framed ones. But like for those, I still
but they're so big and unwieldy.
I mean, they're made for machines, right? I want like a low cost machine.
They're made for the big machine. Oh no, you don't want it. No, you don't want to go that far.
Well, I have a machine. So at MHub, they have like not a machine. It's just like literally just the counterweighted like thing that basically you clamp it in, and then it it kind of like levers down over top of the boards.
Right.
And I keep trying that, but like So maybe the real answer here is Chris should just use a frameless stencil. But
yes, that would be my advice. Frameless stencil, and just have a dedicated bunch of PCBs on a board that you can just put away when you're not using a hard board, when you're not using it, and then tape it all down. And it really is quite easy. But you've got to do it you can't do it half-assed. As I said, you can't just put your board on your bench and stick it down with a bit of blue tack or something and tape, and then put your stencil over the top of that because it just bows off the edges. You've got to have a nice thing that keeps it all completely flat. Otherwise, you get a bleed. If there's any bow at all in your stencil, then you'll get the paste going underneath, and it just. Ugh.
I just wish it was all easier. That's what I'm really trying to say, Dave. I just want it to be.
Well, it's
There is a solder paste printer. I want that.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're very nice. The solder paste dispensing machines. Yeah, I think you can get one for like $10,000 or something.
Okay, yeah.
It's but they're very slow. Like they're designed for 1,000 pin BGA rework type things. Where you need to do 1,000 dots and you don't want to do a custom stencil for it, so you just you just program it in or shove your Gerbers in there. And it solder paste and then it just dispenses. It's an XY table which goes around and then just dispenses a set amount on each pad. And it's it's very flexible, but it's very slow. It takes ages. So it's not, it's good for one-off prototypes and things, but apart from that, useless.
You wouldn't use it on a production level.
No, or even small volume production, like 10, if you're doing 10 boards, it's So that's not really a thing. I don't think you'll find anyone with their own automated solder paste dispensing machine, like XY table dispensing machine. Yeah. It's just, because it is easy. Using solder paste stencils is easy, but you've just got to go to the effort to have just a dedicated board set up that does the job.
I think maybe what I really need to do is to start taping the edge of my stencils so that I don't slice my finger open, because I have really sliced the crap out of my. It wasn't even my finger; it was my hand. It
pay
cut
attention.
into my hand. Oh, it was terrible.
Come on, you're not in kindy anymore.
It was just how they were sitting in my roll around cart at work, and I just slammed right into it and slice.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Anyway, yep. All right. Can we talk about lost information?
Sure.
Because, come on, that was a little bit more excitement, Chris. A little bit more excitement.
Yeah, Dave, let's talk about lost information. Why the hell aren't we talking about it already? Come on.
Because, we got sidetracked on bloody learning again, didn't we? On other stuff.
Yeah, damn it. How are we talking about learning?
We just recycle the same stuff. Anyway, this lost... The sheer volume of lost information out there hit home the other day when I thought, hey, there's this old 1980s circuit textbook.
Finally, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, right. I thought we discussed this briefly before
we did.
the show.
Yeah, my brain. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, this was brought home to me by there's this 80s textbook, circuit design textbook out there, which has been out of print since the late 80s, right? And I thought, hey, and I sort of had a look around for it. I couldn't find it anywhere. Like I have a physical copy of it, right? Sure. And I couldn't find it anywhere. There's no PDFs. There's no nothing, right? There's the odd reference to it. You can't even get like a screenshot of the front cover, right? There's absolutely nothing.
I equated it to like when a record company decides not to put a vinyl album onto they don't digitize it, and then you don't
digitize it. It's stuck in the vinyl world forever.
That's right.
There's
hipster fodder, Dave. It's hipster fodder,
right? There's 10,000 copies out there, but they're in basement
as long
drawers,
as they last,
right?
there till they're gone.
Anyway, so I thought, hey, it'd be cool if I maybe could get rights in, because I kind of liked it. So, and I thought it'd be a good basis for a textbook that I could, maybe I could get rights to republish that and and then add on to it and extend it and actually publish a textbook, actually published a book. So I contacted I tried to find the author, could not find the author anywhere. Right, couldn't find any information. I spent some time on it, and so I contacted the publisher, and they're around still, an Australian publisher. I contacted them, and they said, we don't know anything about this. It's like, huh? It's like, this was 30 years or 35 years ago. We don't, I'm sorry. But try and find the author, So I spent more time finding finally found the author. I was thrilled. And then I went, and then I found some information on another book he published, which had his age in there. He was born in 1930. And it was like, okay, I'm doing running the numbers in my head. If he's still around, he's 90, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I finally found, he lives here in Sydney, right? And I finally found his address, and I found a phone number. So I went, damn it, I'm going to and it's a retirement, it's like a retirement place, And so I thought, bugger it, I'll call this up. And I called up the number, and it was him. I got him.
Great.
He's still here. And I finally found him. And yep, he's 90 years old. And anyway, absolutely fantastic.
So what's his backstory?
Backstory is, an old engineer, used to teach electronics here in Sydney. And he's a former teacher, and he wrote this textbook way back in the 80s. Since then, he's gone on to write a few alternative physics books, let's say. He's gotten into, I'm going to prove there's, like Einstein was wrong kind of, thing, or something like that, Anyway, he's got some theory, and he's published some other book about, alternative physics that explains
alternative physics.
Yeah.
All right.
There
is an ether.
Well, he's got he's got some new theory about. Anyway, I don't know exact details, but I thought that was funny.
Wait, the circuit book sounds good, so let's just stick on that.
Anyway, the circuit, and so I talked to him, and he said, they actually contracted me to actually write that book. The publishing company contracted him to write it, but technically he still holds the copyright, but they hold the publishing rights. And then there's there's a person who did the illustrations. They were probably contracted they'd hold copyright on those. Right. And then they were contracted by the publishing company. And so anyway, so he said, look, sorry, I can't really do anything for you. You're going to have to, talk to the publishing company, really. They're the ones who probably have republishing rights or whatever still, So I went back to them, and I gave them all the contact details, and they said, look, it's so old. We have no idea if we'd have any of the original information. And really, they didn't even know who to contact within the company who would even know if they still had the old files or knew anything about the contract that they signed with him or anything.
Right? Do they even have the paper, the literal paper that is still there?
Yeah, or back in what was in mid '85? I know you weren't even born then, were you?
So, I was born then, yes.
Oh, you were born then, but anyway, you were just
not very conscious,
not very computer literate back then.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so it would have been maybe WordStar, maybe on DOS.
Oh, because it was actually a publishing program like that. It wasn't like a traditional layout or anything like that.
Oh no, it was I don't know.
Like typeset or something like that,
Well, yeah, how they do. Well, typeset. No, it says in the book, actually, it says typeset in English Times or something. So maybe it was, what format would all the drawings have been in? How would they have? Would they have used a desktop? Would even desktop publishing programs around then? Like, barely.
Yeah. Right. Would they have gone to a publishing company for EE textbooks as well? Like, yeah.
Oh, it's just.
Are the drawings are hand drawn or are they what?
No, they look computer, drafted.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, they just threw their hands up and went, look, nah, sorry, like too hard. Yeah. Let's just not go there. And then they said, look, if you want to publish a book, we'll just
let's start from scratch.
Let's start from scratch. So yeah. So yes, I am thinking about writing a textbook from scratch now. So there you go.
Oh, geez. Well, there you go. That's how it happens, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it happens. So yeah, I'm a bit excited about that now. So anyway, but that's lost information, right? How many things that weren't, we used to, okay, if it doesn't turn up in Google, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
have you ever worked at a company that had? Well, I'm sure you have, but like you go back and like the PLM or like the system that has like all the digital drawings. And at a certain point, you're like, oh, all these are just scanned. There's nothing that, like, and then sometimes it's just a reference to a file cabinet. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going into the cabinets.
Dude, like, I'm serious. Yeah. Yeah. that was half of my career.
That was it, huh? Yeah. Right.
Look, it wasn't that long ago. I'm talking early 2000s, right? We're talking within the last 20 years, I've worked at big military companies who we had these, like everything was done on these A3 size graph sheets, right? Hand drawn on these and you would stick things in. So you do things on computers, right? So you'd you draw your circuits and everything, but you would you would print them out and then you would stick them, you would glue them onto these graph sheets, which all had, numbered, and it was all like it wasn't a Dewey Decimal System, but
like a
no. These were giant project folders, right? So a project had these dedicated folders. Each section, each subsection would have its own folder and things like that. And you would have to put all the original information. And then we had archivist people whose job was to actually duplicate those. So you had a master set of documents and of folders, and then you would have the duplicate set. So if you just wanted to go look something up and maybe have a play with it, take it back to your desk or whatever, you would get the duplicate set because the master set is the master set. It's like, you don't touch the master set unless you put in new information into it, right? And then the archivist would keep these copies up to date, right? And different teams that have their own copies of all these. Like dozens of these huge A3 size. I don't know what that is in you weird Yankee format. But,
probably tabloid, like 11 by 17 or similar.
Tabloid, like 11 by 17 sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Large
what's the A3 actual size? Do you know?
I don't.
It's like
know
two A2s, right? Is that how it goes?
It's half an A2.
Half an A2. Oh, A2 equals size.
Two A3s equals an A2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then that's probably the size of an 8.5 by 11. And then if that's A2 is probably like a tabloid, and it's a stupid.
Yeah,
system.
I forget the exact size. Anyway, it's larger than it's double the size of a standard, A4.
Yeah.
Sheet. Anyway, so these large folders and everything. This was within the last 20 years. This is in the 2000s. Right, we still had this, even though we did everything, did stuff on computer. It would ultimately be archived and stored in physical form in these binders.
Yeah,
because that's just the system they had. That's just
and it's
how
not just
because
you're not saying it's just because it's a military contract. You're saying it's because they just needed paper records for some reason.
Oh, they needed paper records, and that's how they've always done it. And that was probably how they're audited when the military come around and audit. Yeah, we're doing things right. You got to show them that you have all the project folders, and if anything's secret, they would go in the cabinet. They would go in the locked cabinets. If anything was classified secret or whatever. It's all.
I have an acquaintance who works in a military program. And he actually works in one of those rooms where like no document leaves the room. You want to work on the document?
Yeah.
You have to be in the room to work on the document. And there's like 4 computers in there. And I was like, it's like the room in the first Mission Impossible, where the floor changes color.
Yep.
He's like, it's pretty much like that actually.
Yep, it's all yeah.
That's pretty cool. And kind of that sounds like terrible. But I bet you get a lot of work done like that. Like there's no checking your phone. There's no checking the your
There's
email.
no distractions.
You're
There's
just in the
no
hole, man.
windows to look out of. There's no,
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. See, there you go, Dave. That's why you got to go back to the windowless
I know that
lab.
I was just about to say that's why I have to go back to the old lab. There's no window. I'm looking out the window right now. I'm just staring out the window.
I know,
watching
right?
the
Wasted
cars
time,
go
man.
by.
Wasted time.
Totally wasted seconds there.
Right.
Yep, seconds of productive time that I could be writing my textbook.
That's right. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh, it'll be interesting to hear if you go through with that. That's not something I would. Yeah. I'd say start with a short one. Start with a short one.
Yeah, right.
Work your way up to it. Yeah.
See, this is why I thought I could cheat the system. I could take an existing one which I thought was okay, and then which is out of print and nobody cares about anymore, and I can sort of extend that and build on that.
Breathe new life into it.
Exactly. That'd give me the jump start. Oh, look, I'm 50% finished because I just right off the bat that would have been nice, but lost information. So if I went back to that company now, I reckon they wouldn't have scanned in any of that.
Oh yeah, like they wouldn't have scanned it to
No, if you would have to go back, and you would have to go back and physically. I'm sure that they would not have tossed those out. Definitely, they would still be archived properly. But you could get them. But yeah, I mean they're just physical paper copies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. They're the master copies. Yeah. Glue and scissors were my two main tools at that company. I'm not, yep. Seriously. It was just, yep.
Well, speaking of military companies, we have a link on the show notes today about SBIR, and you hadn't heard of it before. And it's kind of interesting. This is called, it's a very sensationalized title called "How to Access the America Seed Fund," the $3 billion SBIR program. But you'd never heard of SBIR before.
No. What's it stand for?
Small Business Innovation Research.
Right.
And basically there's a mandate somewhere in government code for the US that basically some amount of research can't just go to big military contractors or, large contractors in general. It has to actually go to a small business. And then I think there's also some regulations too to try and, minority-owned, women-owned businesses as well, veteran-owned businesses. So it basically helps to spread R&D money to companies that wouldn't get a shot otherwise.
Smaller companies, yeah. That's a really good idea. That's actually really good. Although $3 billion's a drop in the bucket compared to what.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's a big deal to small companies, but it's not a big deal to the big companies. And it's the first time I'd heard about this. I actually brought it up on the show before, but it was the first technical conference I'd ever gone to. I came to Chicago for the Sensors Conference. It was ESC, and the Sensors Conference was here. They used to have a Chicago version. And I got on a bus from Cleveland. I paid for it all myself, and I pretended the Amp Hour was enough of a journalistic enterprise. And they're like, so a podcast, huh? Okay, well, can you show us your traffic? I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah.
Oh, really? You had to show them your traffic? Wow.
Yeah, it's fine, whatever. And then they gave me a free pass, and I got to go in. And so one of the Sensor Expo things, I remember sitting in this presentation, and it was a guy who was doing, I think it was 802.15.4, sensors, but they were stress sensors on the rotors of a helicopter. So these things actually whipped around at the helicopter frequency, and then they transmitted back the actual stress on the helicopter. And the guy was talking about how this is an SBIR grant, and these are Apache Tomahawk helicopters or something like that. And I was just like, that is so cool. First off, you would never think to have that yourself anyways. You never be like, no, I guess I'll just look at carbon fiber stress and strain on a Apache helicopter, the rotor. And then also the fact that it was funded. Yeah, that's super cool in both directions. So that was my first exposure to it. And then I started asking around about it. And I think it was Greg Charvat who told me the best way to do it is to get as a subcontractor on another SBIR grant, right? Because it's so hard to get your foot in the door. Once you get one, you'll start to get more. But that first one is really, really hard to do. And if you can be a subcontractor, first off, you work with someone who already knows what they're doing. But then also, I think you can refer to that in future ones and saying, I was a sub on SBIR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever the number is.
And you've got your bona fides.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Nice.
And so then there's different phases, pretty standard kind of development process, basically phase 1, 2, 3. And basically, let's see, it's awards range from tens of thousands to over $200,000. And it's a short proof of concept. And then there's a 2-year period, a longer. And then finally phase 3 is actually making it in mass production. And
Yep.
it's not just military either. There's also like NIH grants. I think some of them go through there, like the Institutes of Health and similar. Like it's usually technology focused, and it's hard, but you can go and actually look up what's on there. NASA, NOAA, the Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, DOE, energy. So like, there's tons of really cool things on there, and some of them are so specific that it'll knock your socks off. So
Wow.
yeah.
The NIST is on there. NIST.
Yeah, the Institute of Standards and
National
Technology.
Institute of Standards.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
looks
closed.
Like
Boo-hoo. 2020 phase one. Well, 2020 is half over, I guess. So
yeah, there was like a clearing site that I remember looking at one point. It was like a .gov site, and like you can just like scroll down it. Oh yeah, SBIR.gov, and you can just like scroll down all of the opportunities that are on there, and like there's some wonky stuff out there. So it's fun to go look at, and usually you need to have like a pretty sizable team too. So it's definitely.
But be careful. It's what you want to like. Don't just go for the money grab. Be careful. It's something that you do actually want to do and can do. Because I actually thought about applying for a grant once. It was for a video, like a film film industry grant.
Oh, okay.
And it was anyone who wants to do some sort of documentary type thing. So I thought, so I discussed it with Cole von Moller, who does his State of Electronics. He's a filmmaker, right?
That's right.
So I thought, hey, maybe we could team up. We could, because he's a professional filmmaker, so he's got the bona fides to, me. I just make crappy YouTube videos. Yeah. Right. And and we discussed actually going around the country, actually doing some sort. We didn't really have an idea, but some sort of documentary on the electronics industry or the engineering industry or something. So we thought about doing this, and then we sort of realized, okay, if we get our $150,000, shit, we're going to actually have to do this, which means we both have to like take time off, travel around the country, which would be fun, right? But we both got families, we've both got other commitments, right? We can't just and then in the end we realized, oh shit, no, it's 6 to 9 months, full-time work or something to do all this, and we just can't do it, even if we got the grant, right?
Right.
So, it's just it'd be fun, but it's just not practical. So we sort of, went, nah. So bummer. So just be careful what you wish for, I guess.
Sure.
Then you might have to go through with it.
Yeah. I was trying to think of other people who have done this before. So Zach Fradine and Joe Berto, who did the NeuroTinker. Zach was episode 330. He also got an SBIR, and he did educational. So basically, they did like a neuron toy, basically for educational toy, and so that was cool. And I think that was on an educational grant. And then I think Michael Osman as well. I think the HackRF one, or maybe the Ubertooth one. One of those I think was also on an SBR grant. Yeah, it's just kind of cool because it is these kind of open. Sometimes they're kind of open,
well, that was going to be my question. Because this is public funding, right? Do the results of the the research or the thing, can you use it for commercial purposes, or does it have to be published open? Can you do all the thing and then keep it a secret and then become a billionaire?
No, I don't think you can keep it a secret and become a billionaire. You probably could become a billionaire, but I think it's usually, I think you retain the rights. I think you retain the rights to the actual invention and things like that. You can file patents against it. I could be wrong about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm pretty sure you retain the rights, but I think they have exclusive contract to it for a certain amount of time.
Okay. Got it.
And so basically that you have to provide it for the entity that, is funding you, of course, but then I think you can then spin it off.
Right. So you have to, you give them first rights, and then they probably, if they turn it, I would be guessing if they turn it down, then you're free to go elsewhere. Or
I'm not
it's
sure.
the famous Apple thing. It's the famous, Steve Jobs worked at HP, and his contract at Hewlett Packard, he worked in the calculator department at HP, actually designing calculator chips. And his contract with Hewlett Packard said that every that he has to give them first rights to ideas that he comes up with, right? Of course he had designed the Apple One, right? And then he realized, oh crap, we can't just go make this. I have to give the rights to the first rights to Hewlett Packard. So he took in his Apple One into Hewlett Packard and put it on the desk in front of him and said, "This is my computer that I invented. Do you want this?" And it was secretly hoping they'd say no. And they went, nah. Fine, yeah, go away. And he went, yes. So, yep. HP actually, they turned down the Apple One, but he legally had to give them first rights. So maybe similar sort of thing.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, so I would recommend, I think it's interesting just to kind of go and browse through the SBIR.gov just to see what's out there too, like see what people are looking for.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And it could be a good way to fund research for your company. Usually it's going to be, you're going to have a company first. It's not like most people aren't forming companies and then building this stuff. So,
right. So can you approach them with some
like a proposal,
far out there idea, or is there a list of stuff they want done?
Yeah, the list of stuff is like the SBIR.gov.
Oh, right. Okay. So there's specific things. So you can't So you can't do
some of them are more open-ended though. Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. So Zach and Joe, they did one where it was like, I think on a pretty open, like STEM education. Right. And so they got funded through that. And then, that was another thing. So I remember Zach said that there was limitations on how much they could then pay their subcontractors as well. And I think there are some pretty stringent standards there. So you can't go and, I think the reason they have those standards is because someone wins a grant and they go and hire a contractor for
on Fiverr.
The other direction, the other direction. So they hire their friend for $500 an hour, and they're like, we're out of money now.
Okay.
So there's actually a cap on how much they could pay for contractors as well.
Got it. So you don't rort the system.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Rorting the system is only allowed for the big boys.
That's right, exactly. You got to really become a military contractor in order to really...
but before you can rot the system properly legally. Yeah. Yes, you can't. No. Small fry, not allowed.
Please come back, sir, when you have 1,000 employees and, many large buildings.
And you've greased a few
That's right.
politicians and, oh, boy.
Yeah.
And we aren't even joking. We're not it's that sort of stuff exists.
Out of our pay grade. How about that?
Yep. Yes, the old $800 hammer, and
the
$500 toilet seat. Yeah, the golden toilet seats. Yeah. Oh boy.
One of my good buddies, I think I mentioned him on the show. He's a purchasing agent for a large contract. I wish he could come and talk. He would just never come and talk about it here, but
oh God.
I get to hear a lot of great stories, and it's awesome. So.
Can we have one example, please, Chris?
No, I can't. I really can't. No, sorry.
The $200 resistor,
Yeah,
come on,
right.
we need a
yeah.
But it's special. It's it was.
I think you and I probably have enough stories like that too, though. The $900 connector that I used to use for connecting to military radios, and totally. I'm sure you did too. It's just.
Oh yeah, but they were all even though $1,000 connector, sure, but these were custom designed and custom made for us.
How do you know the toilet and this hammer and the toilet seat and the hammer weren't custom, Dave? Come on.
Oh, well, it's true. Yep. Yeah, because an ordinary hammer just wouldn't have worked,
Right,
so you had to go fully custom. Yep. It's just geez, No, so I don't think I've actually encountered rorting like that. I don't think it's ever happened at the level that I've ever worked at.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Something to look forward to.
Yeah. No, because because the stuff we were doing, everything had to be custom, right? So there was always a massive premium for that. So, you couldn't use an off-the-shelf connector for this and that. And, for various reasons that have to be, the product's very specific, it's not something that, you use on your desk. It's Yep.
Let's get to a couple other links before we cut off here. This one is just purely awesome, but there's a new YouTube channel that I found, and it has really cool videos. And this one specifically, it's called Fully Charged Show, and it's like a podcast about, or a video channel about electric
It's
vehicles.
not new. It's been going for years. It's hosted by
So,
what's
new
his
to me.
name?
Sorry. I don't know.
What's Leland? Apparently, he's been on. Was he on Red Dwarf or something? He was like one of the he's an actor or something.
Sure,
I think. Anyway, yeah, he does this. Yeah, but please go on. He does this show.
Okay. Well, anyways, the thing that I was specifically interested in is like these new delivery trucks called Arrival.
Yep.
And basically, it's just like the size and scale of like electric vehicles. It's hard to kind of tell how much is like marketing hype versus like how many are actually being produced. But like they're like.
But it does actually exist. It physically exists. It's been made in America. Yeah. Anyway, if you don't know, the show is all about electric cars. So it's specifically an electric car show. So
and there's a lot of cool stuff out there. But yeah, I
and there's this company. Yeah, there's this new
to me.
There's this new company that just got a contract for 10,000 electric vans.
Right, for UPS.
Wow, UPS. Yeah. Wow, what a score. Yeah, what a score. But don't they look great? I want one.
I mean, they're designed like buses.
Oh, yeah, they're like little mini buses kind of.
Super ergonomic and stuff like that. And like, and the stats were kind of interesting too, because they were talking about like the delivery like distances it was only like, like 40 miles or whatever that is in kilometers, 60 kilometers, something like that. Or is that the other direction? I don't know.
65, something like that. Yes.
Yeah. And it was like over like very short distances where actually like, oh, that makes a lot more sense than I would have guessed. Like I always assumed that like driving around a city, they have tons and tons and tons of stops, but it's actually many fewer than I thought it would be. And so like in terms of like range for a truck like this, it actually is potentially doable. I guess I always assumed that they had a lot more coverage area. So that's kind of cool. And then, it's just like they keep saying like skateboard. I watched a bunch of their videos. They keep talking about the skateboard design. That's like the standard thing these days, like a Tesla or any other, car does as well, where it's just the entire floor is all batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently that's like a standard design now. So
anyway, I want one of these and I want to convert it into a mobile lab. Just because.
There you go. Yeah.
Dude,
nice.
Mate, it's just it looks so schmick. You got to see this thing. I mean, and it's a real thing, and they just got a contract to build 10,000 of them in the US. California, is it? Are they another Californian company? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know where they were. Yeah.
Anyway, fantastic.
Oh no! Wait. Oh no, there's a different one. There was one that was like it was outside of Chicago. There was a different car that's they just use old, just like Tesla did. They just take over old petrol based car assembly manufacturing
plants. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. And so but this one, I don't think this one was Chicago. So
right. Anyway, this one started from scratch. So this company and they custom build these electric car they're doing these like van kind of things at the moment. But they've got, many different types. You can actually approach them if you've got a big enough, they don't sell to the consumer yet, but they're, so they're focusing on specific customers who have specific large scale needs, like the courier companies, your DHLs, your UPSs, and all that sort of stuff, who need, 10,000 trucks to drive around.
That's right. Yeah. You have a fleet of vehicles.
Yeah. And they're focusing on that. And they actually won the contract to get making 10,000 electric vans for UPS.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Oh, it's just absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I love this thing. And it's just
and so on the topic of batteries too, there was a pretty good app note on DigiKey. It doesn't really say who's wrote it. I thought it might have been written by Maxim, but it's actually just it shows kind of like this is suggested by a friend and former guest of the show, Dan Hinch. But it's shows like some of the chemistry and why some of the voltages exist. I'm sure you've covered this kind of stuff before, but
I've done many videos on lithium-ion battery charging technology and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah.
I have a whole playlist. Have a playlist devoted
okay,
to
we'll link in the playlist for lithium batteries. That's about it for me, Dave. Anything else?
Nah, it's done. And my amp hour's up.
All right. I'll be back in a few weeks, and Dave will be here in the meantime.
Yep. Catch you next time.
See ya.